see you at the top. That's where I go. Hate me now.
Welcome back to another episode of the See You at the Top podcast. My name's Kirby. I'm your host today, and I'm here with the one and only Nicole Arjomand. And I hope I got that right.
Yes, you did.
How are you doing today, Nicole?
I'm doing amazing. How are you?
I'm doing great as well, and I'm really looking forward to interviewing you and learning more about your journey and all about your movement, which is called Fill Your Purpose. Nicole is a entrepreneur who lives in Los Angeles right now, who has an awesome movement called Fill Your Purpose, and we actually just got connected by the power of social media and the power of synchronicities, which we've talked about and we'll talk about in this interview. And I'm looking forward to interviewing you.
Thank you so much. I'm really, really excited to be on today, and I'm honored to be a guest and to be one of your first guests on the show. So thank you again.
No, you are my first interview. I'll put that right on the spot right here. I've Jordan interviewed me, my dad interviewed me, and now I'm doing the interview process, and it's something I definitely want to continue doing on the See at the Top podcast with people like yourself, where we share similar values. I'm definitely let, Jordan take up a lot of the basketball players and the athletes. My business partner, Seth, is going to do a lot of the fitness and long distance people and, personal development people. And my dad's going to definitely get the entertainers and stuff along those lines. But yeah, let's talk about you and your journey today. Why don't you just tell us to start out a little bit about yourself and where you came from and where you are today right now?
Perfect. Well, my name is Nicole Arjomand, and I am currently in Los Angeles, California. Originally, my family moved here from Iran when I was 11 years old. We were refugees in Turkey for a year and a half. Wow. And we went through we have our crazy refugee stories, how we survived there.
Wow.
Yeah, moved to a very small town in the Bay Area. I like to call it Bay Area, but for the people who actually know the area, they say it's not considered Bay. It's outside of the Bay Area, a small town called Turlock, California, which is by Modesto, California. So
awesome.
I was there for about 10 years. Moved to Los Angeles by myself when I was 19 years old with $175 in my pocket.
Wow.
I just came.
And now what are you worth now? 175 million, right?
That's the goal. That's my my vibrational abundance that I'm accepting into.
Hey, if you can think it and believe it, you can achieve it.
Absolutely. So, coming here with only $175 in my pocket, I did go through like being broke, eating once a day, and just, finding my way here. At some point, I did have 7 part-time jobs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hustler.
Yeah, I was hustling. Whatever I had to do, I would do it. Like I would be a personal assistant. I would clean people's houses and whatever it is that I had to do to make it. Because the one thing I always told myself before I left home, I remember people telling me, you're going to come back. You're from a small town and you're not going to make it in LA. LA and New York are very hard cities to make it in. I said, just watch me. It's the Sagittarius in me. I like challenges. So I came here and just found my way through life and started my own business when I was 22 years old in nightlife. Had that for about 3.5 years.
Nice.
Stepped into nightlife and then stepped into real estate and started my self-development journey. I believe I was 25, 26. Sparked my interest by watching the movie The Secret, which is the reason
let's definitely talk about kind of like the first conversation we had. We connected, through social media and just started talking about, how we can help each other grow our movements, because I feel like we're both doing some great things in our communities, but we really are in the nascent stages. We're really just getting started, and we came together and just started talking. And I feel like, I'm a strong believer in synchronicities and really, the universe just putting things in your life that are supposed to be there. And I believe that everything is perfection out there. And, the universe gives you these signs. Let's talk a little bit about kind of that first conversation about how we started talking. And, we both realized that we watched the documentary on Netflix called The Secret.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So I ran across your page. I believe it was by accident. I was looking at your content, and in my mind, the first thing that I thought of is like, his content is so amazing. Why is he not getting views? And I remember the first thing, like, honestly, for the type of content you have, you should have over 1 million followers and views. Like your stuff is very, very good, very, very relatable, very, very easily to understand. And so I was very intrigued, and I said, I want to connect with this individual. Like it looks like we have the same vision, and I'm very
Definitely.
big on synchronicity, and I believe that we're all here with a special gift, whether it's self-development, health, mindset, or whatever realm it is that we choose. I believe people like yourself and and I've seen, so many people out there who are also doing the same thing, especially now since the COVID. I feel like we all
Right.
within and started to look for more what we're passionate about rather than what society wants us to do, what I like to call it, right? So
Definitely. And yeah, that really is amazing. And I believe that, the universe just connects people in your life that are meant to be there. And we came, we came together, and I think we can definitely do some big things. I think I can help you grow your movement. But to touch upon real quick before we get back into, your past, with the followers, I do feel like I'm putting out very creative, and I'm putting a ton of energy into the content with KirBeBetter, with these KirBeBetter stories, and just the entire vision. And I've kind of talked about this in the first, I did an interview for the, that people interviewed me for the first three interviews, told my entire story. And what I said in there, and I still stand by it today, is I'm not taking shortcuts with this movement. I'm just putting everything I can in. I'm not trying to buy followers and do all these other things. And I feel like the growth that I've had inside since I started KirBeBetter, it's all about finding your driving force, I believe. For you, we're actually going to get into that right in this next question I have for you, kind of a little bit about your background and are we cool to kind of talk about a little bit about
absolutely, I'm an open book.
Perfect. No, because it's amazing and it's really beautiful. And I think it's going to inspire people listening to this interview right now. But it's all about finding your driving force. We all have a unique driving force. For somebody, it might be to watch your daughter walk down the aisle. For a mother, it might be that she just loves raising her kids and watching her kids grow. For somebody like that beautiful butterfly sitting behind you, I see you love butterflies. Maybe somebody's driving force is to create a butterfly museum and just, transform, just whatever it is. For me, my driving force is KirBeBetter. And it's made up of my highest priority values, which I think is exactly what your movement is all about, finding your purpose. Your purpose lies within your highest priority values. And for me, KirBeBetter is a makeup of my highest value. So I've turned what I love to do the most into KirBeBetter. And if I keep going the rest of my life and I make no money with KirBeBetter, I'm going to keep pushing it all the way to the top. And I know eventually those results will come, but it's not about the results. It's about putting in that effort every single day. And of course, the results do give you a framework for how you're doing. But if you just keep giving it everything you have, keep aligning with your highest priority values, the results will come. And the bottom line is, and the punchline of this whole saying is that I know I only have a couple thousand followers, but the growth that I've had inside from KirBeBetter is worth more than 20 million followers, probably even 2 billion. It is worth more than 2 billion followers because I feel like I'm growing so much and it's moving me forward to help me become the best version of myself. And we're going to keep on this mission of making the world a better place, one person at a time. And it all had to start with me. And I'm truly evolving, and I feel like I'm at a stage now where I can tell my story and I can go out and inspire others because that best version of myself is right in front of me and I can reach out and grab it. But let's talk a little bit about how you found to fill your purpose and kind of like the challenges that you overcame that we had in our first conversation with being abused as a child. Exactly.
I would like to, well, I used to call it sexual abuse, but now I took the power back and I just try to bring it down and call it trauma. Because, I feel like the words that we use are very big, and every word that we say is affirmation. So I guess my new way of saying it now is experiences as a child that were like very contrasting for someone who was 5 years old,
Wow, you were 5.
That at 5, and then I grew up in the Middle East, and that's very common. And that's one of the main things why I do what I do now is I want to also bring awareness. About 70% of children in the Middle East are sexually either molested or raped, right? So the numbers are really, really high. Yeah, the numbers are really, really high. And the unfortunate part about it is because it's so common, it's not very taken seriously. Not because it's not serious to them, but it's so common. It's like how, everybody would be in prison and everybody would be on, mostly everybody would be on punishment. So I don't want to make it sound like the Middle East is not a good place. It's a very
Right.
amazing place to be, but it's just like a cult. It's like I wouldn't say it's a culture thing, but it's unfortunate that it hasn't been brought up in a very serious manner. And I want to
Right.
bring awareness to that. And so, yeah, so for people to kind of understand how that can really shift someone's energy. And again, it's all up to you how you want to take that. We could take that and turn it into something that's empowering, and
Yes.
to use it to be a better version of yourself and try to
Ooh,
understand yourself.
speaking my language.
You know, you could be a victim. So
Exactly. You know, you can either be a victim of your past or a master of your destiny, as my mentor, Dr. DeMartini, says. But yeah, that truly is amazing. And I feel like, you know, kind of like we were talking about when we were talking, that, you know, it took me a while to do my first interview. When I first graduated college, you know, I was kicked out of school. I was labeled too small, labeled ADD, labeled OCD, arrested, smoked cigarettes, all these different things, put on 5 different medications. And I went through this transformation after walking into the boxing gym and then studying for the first time for a big exam and realizing, wow, I actually got an A, or it was like a 90 or an 89 on the exam. Maybe what all these doctors told me, and maybe I'm not actually a dummy. Maybe I can actually, if I put my mind to something, I can do it. And then I graduated college, and, you know, now I'm here, and I feel like I wasn't confident. I wasn't comfortable telling my story. As when I graduated, my dad, as I said, kept telling everybody my story. And I said, Dad, please don't tell my story. I'm embarrassed by it. And I feel like just until, you know, this is the 4th episode of the See at the Top podcast. Thank you so much for being the 4th guest in my first interview. I think we're doing an awesome job. And
I think number 4 is my lucky number.
4 is your lucky number?
Yeah, and I'm actually your 4th episode. This is awesome.
Definitely. That's amazing. And butterflies are something that have been popping up in my life quite a bit as well. So I think that's also a synchronicity as well. But, you know, what I was saying is that I wasn't comfortable telling my story, and just until a couple months ago this year. And the reason being is because I still had that regret from the past. But what I've recently done is I've taken all of that regret. I've done work. I did the 10-day silent meditation. I've gone within myself. I've really tried to realize that everything that has happened in my past, there's blessings in everything that's happening to us. And it got me right here in the moment. And I've weighed out the negatives, the positives, and I balanced it out to realize that everything that is happening to us is serving us to help us grow and be stronger. And that's exactly why I told my story, because I feel like it can help inspire somebody. But tell us a little bit about that transition that I just kind of went through with yourself as well. And were you originally, you know, willing to talk about your story, you know, when you're in your early 20s, or?
I actually wasn't. I was not comfortable talking about my story either until about this year. And the only reason why I was not comfortable talking about it, it's not necessarily because I was ashamed of what had happened, but it was because I didn't want anyone to look at my parents and think that they were not good parents, or that I didn't come from a good family. Because in reality, I don't want to call it an accident, but things like that happen, unfortunately, right?
Yes.
And it's not to point fingers at my parents or to say that they didn't do a good job or they were not protecting me. So I just always wanted to make sure that when I tell my story, it's coming from an empowering place, rather than like trying to say that, you know, rather than trying to make it sound like it's something that made me into a victim. Because honestly, a lot of times people ask me the question, if you could go back and change anything about your life, would you change anything? And I know this sounds really crazy, but I would not change anything. I would go back and do it all over the same exact way. To the person who I had that experience with, in like a very weird way, I thank them. I bless them. I thank them. And to be honest, I wonder if they were also, you know, violated or have that kind of treatment.
Exactly.
Keep going, right? So if it's not treated, if it's not taken care of with therapy or support from family members, because honestly, people do what they know. If they don't know better, they can't do better.
Yes.
And I really believe that, right?
Actually,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I love what you just said there. I say the same thing. You can't, what do I say? I say you can't know better until you learn better. And that's the bottom line. And everything that you just said there is exactly what my philosophy is as well. And it's absolutely beautiful. It's that everything is happening for a reason. and it happens. So you either can look at it in a one-sided mind and say, oh, this is negative, or you can say, hey, this served me. There's both positive and negative in this. And I'm the same way. It's all about just having gratitude for your experiences, because I'm going to touch on 2 quick points here. If, I have a feeling that you're going to go out and inspire millions of women. Now, I know that you're in your early stages, and I'm in my developmental stages with KirBeBetter, and you are Fulfill Your Purpose. But I'm confident that you're going to go out and inspire millions of women that went through a similar situation where they were victims at one point, because it's not like something tragic like that or something very challenging like that is going to happen. And you're going to be like, thank gosh, this happened. But it's all about, like you talk about Joe Dispenza and all these guys, and I talk about Dr. DeMartini. It's all about wiring your brain to just quickly be able to see the blessing in things when they happen. And of course, you're not going to, it takes time, but I feel like you have gratitude for that person. And you're going to go out and inspire millions of women. So let's say if all of a sudden you go out and you in 10 years are on a TEDx stage speaking to 100,000 women, and those women are crying, and a lot of those women in that crowd were complete victims, feeling beat up, feeling down and out, feeling like they maybe wanted to take their life or do something as catastrophic as that. And you get on stage and you inspire them and empower them to realize that their life is not over. It's just now beginning. And what your past does not define you. Your past can actually catapult you into your future so that you can continue to grow and evolve and still become that best version of yourself and live your best life. And I feel like if that didn't happen to you, then you wouldn't be able to do that. And that's the bottom line. It's just all about really getting into that state of mind. And a lot of these personal development people and just practicing these basic laws of the universe will really help you be able to get into that state of mind to realize that, as Dr. DeMartini says, everything is on the way, not in the way. And actually what his whole theory is all about, it's called the breakthrough method. And I actually went to his seminar and was able to break through a ton of my things that I was only looking as negative, and realized that they served me and that they got me right where I am. It's all about just the quality of questions you ask is based off the quality of your life. That's what he says. And it's all about just realizing and balancing out everything that has happened in your life and realizing that it's just as it's supposed to be. So say there's some negatives that happen when somebody gets, sexually abused or assaulted or whatever it is. There's negatives and there's positives. There's an equal amount of both, because this universe is constantly in balance. And it's the best way we can think. You can be a victim and think negative, but the bottom line is I'm in this state of mind now to see the blessing in everything and to think in a balanced state of mind. And it's the best way to think. And when you think like that, the highs are like nothing you've ever experienced before. The inspiration is amazing, and the universe will show you signs on a daily basis. And I'm on this other side of it. And from the people that aren't on the other side of it, I would just say, just start taking steps in that right direction. One little step can change your life. For me, it was walking in that boxing gym and realizing that I wanted to get my health on track, and I quit the cigarettes. And this catapult effect can start, but you got to find your purpose as well.
And then another thing I learned along my journey as well is hurt people. So if you were a victim and you never got the help that you needed, it's just like a down the rabbit hole effect, right? So in a way, I feel bad for the person who did that to me, because I'm like, imagine how much love you needed, like how much support you needed, you didn't get it. So it came out in this negative way, right? So once you understand and you take yourself out of the equation and you look at life, I call it in a person perspective.
In a what? Say that again.
In a third person perspective.
Third person perspective, yes.
And just looking at it as if I'm not me and that person is not someone who it's someone else's situation. You realize like the blessing in it, I guess you could call it. Although that experience sounds like it could be a blessing, I honestly truly believe that if I did not experience that, or my crazy refugee stories, being poor and, not even having hot water, and then being a crazy teenager. I was a crazy teenager. I have no idea.
We should have hung out, man. We would have had a great time together then.
How my parents put up with me, I really don't know. Like, shout out to my mom and dad. Like, they really did their best, because I was crazy.
Shout out to my mom and dad too.
I feel like the craziness came out because I was so victimized in my own head that drinking and smoking and partying and just being wild was like my way of being rebellious, right?
Same.
So yeah, and then I tried to commit suicide when I was a teenager, just being like super over life, just not knowing, it's a constant push and pull happening within ourselves. which will literally make you snap and be like, you know what, I just don't want to do this anymore. So once you go through that, it's after that situation, once I started to look at life differently, like in my early 20s, and then I came across the movie The Secret, which completely changed my life, and I'm so grateful for it. And I always run into it by accident. In some way or another, I always run into The Secret by accident. I watched that when I was 25. I remember someone told me to watch it a while ago, and I just kept putting it off. Like, I don't know if that's my kind of movie. This sounds kind of weird from what I heard. And, you know, I didn't know anything about law of attraction or self-development. And so when I watched the movie, it was like a light bulb just went off in my head. And I was like, this is really cool. I want to learn more. So I started Googling the people who were on the show, on the actual movie itself. And I started looking at them like Bob Proctor, Abraham Hicks, you know. And then I was introduced to Wayne Dyer through Abraham Hicks, and then learned about Louise Hay. And then all these other amazing teachers started to appear in my life. And then Joe Dispenza and Deepak Chopra, on and on and on. Like, there's just so many of them that I'm so grateful for, but that's just a few to touch up on. That once I just started going down that road, it just became this addictive, like, feeling of wanting to learn more, because the more I learned, the more I understood, the more excited I got.
Right.
So it's like an addiction, but like in a positive way.
Definitely. No, I understand what you're saying.
So that's where my journey began in self-development, was when I was 25 years old. So I'll be 32 in 2 weeks.
Uh-oh. Happy early birthday.
Thank you. Thank you.
So let's talk a little bit about fitness, because I see you have a big fitness page, and you know, I see you crushing in the gym all the time. I definitely love, you know, getting my steps in and my workout in as well. And as I like to say, health is the greatest wealth. When did you start your fitness journey? Did you start this before you moved to Los Angeles, or when did you start that journey?
Well, growing up, I was always like in the talent shows. I was always dancing. I actually came to Los Angeles because I wanted to be a backup dancer. And so, like, just being active was always a passion of mine, but I didn't really start working out until I was about 22, 21. And I think it was just like someone like, let's go to the gym. At first I was like, I don't know, this was uncomfortable. And I think a lot of people who dance can relate. It's either you're like a dancer and that's how you work out, or you're just like into the gym and you're into
Right.
it, right? It's like a either or thing. And so once I injured my ankle, because I have 7 screws in metal in my right ankle, I was not willing to be, I call it like on crutches or disabled, because they told me you're not able to wear high heels and you're not able to do this, or certain things are not going to be comfortable for you. And I refused to accept that. So once I went through therapy for my ankle, I said, I got to get the movement going. You know, I have to work out. I have to make sure I'm always flexible, stretching, doing yoga, whatever it is that I need to do, because I'm not willing to accept, you know, being limited on my mobility. So that's when gym became like my addiction, you know, and I was so, and because I'm very small, I'm 4'11".
Healthy addiction.
I'm sorry?
Healthy addiction.
Healthy addiction. And because I'm 4'11 and a half, I'm very small.
You're 4'11". Whoa.
Yes. All my life, everyone always treated me as if I was not able. Like, I'm just this like feeble, like human
I definitely,
being.
I can relate to that as well. I was, you know, literally I'm, you know, I like to say I'm 5'9", but I'm really 5'8". When I'm wearing shoes, I'm 5'9". I like to think I'm 5'9", but I was that kid in class that was always the smallest or the second smallest, and I definitely got picked on and bullied. But I had a great personality, and, you know, definitely got along. I was a ladies' man early on until but I definitely understand what you're talking about with kind of being that short one for sure. It can, you know, bullying can definitely get to kids. And I think, you know, my mom always used to tell me, hey, Kirby, small things, what is it? Small thing, or what is that? How's that saying go?
Things come in small packages, kind of thing?
No, I completely forgot. I think she said big things come in small packages or something like that. I don't know, something like that. But no, but definitely I can relate to you there.
I was always told that shorter people get rich. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, yes, I'll take that. And I also went through that too, the whole bullying thing, because I was foreign and my family came here right before 9/11 happened.
Uh-huh.
You know, kids were like, go back to your country. What are you doing here? Like, throwing rocks at me. I didn't speak any English, so for me, it was a very challenging time. So I used all of that energy to like bring myself up and like conquer
Amen.
everything. Right? I was
That's
like,
what that's what I realized as well. A lot of the most successful people, it's like if you have if you're a multi-millionaire and you have a kid and you just give your kid everything he wants and you just support him all the time, you don't give him that challenge. He doesn't have that rough bring up. There's a good chance that kid's not going to really evolve and become even close to the best version of himself because he's so comfortable. His parents are giving him everything. A lot of people that become ultra successful have those chips on their shoulders and they're just hungry because maybe they look back as that they had more challenge than support as a kid and they see a lot more, challenging and hard times. And I think that can really be facilitated into a driving force. So my next question for you is, what would you say is the biggest challenge for you right now to becoming the best version of yourself?
Although I've been meditating for 3 years, sometimes quieting my mind is kind of hard for me because I'm always thinking about something. I'm doing this and then I'm like, okay, then I got to do this. My brain is just like this computer thing. And sometimes I have to be like, shut it off, just relax, like just breathe 3 times and just relax. All is well. Everything's happening in divine timing. Like I have to remind myself because I feel like as human beings, we're so goal oriented, which is a great quality to have. But you also want to be an intuitive person so that when you are inspired to take an action, it's going to give you amazing results. If you're just taking action without feeling inspired or on purpose, you're going to make yourself exhausted. But when you're
Definitely.
inspired, you run into the right people, you run into the right circumstances, and people call it luck. I call it synchronicity. So
Hey,
when you're
woo! Round of applause for that one. No, definitely. I hope Guy Raz gets me on the podcast one day. I'm gonna keep growing, and Guy Raz is gonna have me on the podcast one day. He's gonna ask me to say, Kirby, have you ever heard of Guy Raz? He's the guy who does How We Built This. He asks all of these
okay,
ultra successful entrepreneurs at the end of the interview. So, how much of your success would you say is skill and hard work, and how much do you feel is luck? And I also don't believe in the word luck as well. I believe when you're aligning with the best version of yourself, when you're really pursuing what you love to do the most, things will fall into place. And I just don't believe in that word luck as well. I think, I think you were lucky when you were born. I think once you're born, then you're here, and it's all about just aligning with your highest values. And the more you're focused on your highest values, the more you're going to grow and evolve, and things are going to fall into place. So a lot of people like to put others on a pedestal, like Bill Gates and Warren Buffett and, all these athletes, and say, well, man, that guy's better than me. I'm looking up at him. He's on a pedestal. But no, you have greatness inside of you. Like I like to say is, you are great. You are perfect. You have everything you need inside of you to achieve all of your dreams. Nothing is missing. And you're just looking at LeBron James and you're looking at Bill Gates, and those guys are very aligned within their values. But when you start to align with your values, you realize that you have everything that they have inside of them. I'm not saying you're going to be able to go jump 20 feet in the air and dunk a basketball, but you can still achieve greatness within your set of unique characteristics and traits.
exactly. I absolutely agree with that. We all have a gift. We just have to tap into it and find out what that is.
Definitely. Let me ask you a few more questions here. So who is your biggest supporter right now with your movement?
I have to be honest. My mom is my biggest supporter. My brother, my sister-in-law, my dad, of course, all my amazing girlfriends, but my mom and my brother are like absolutely amazing. My brother, when I first started my YouTube channel, he was so supportive. He bought me my LED light and my little
That's
table
awesome.
there. Yeah. I also have family friends like our friend Danny and his amazing wife. They support me as well. So I have to say my friends and my family are my biggest supporters, and I'm very grateful for them because it's very important to have that, to have people who are going to remind you what your vision was when you first started. When you start to get a little exhausted, because this does get a little overwhelming sometimes. So when you have people reminding you what your purpose was and what your initial intent was to have this platform, it's kind of like bringing you back into your paths. So I'm grateful for
Definitely.
that.
Definitely. No, that's amazing as well. And you know what? There's been several times where I'm just feeling like, man, I'm putting in all this work. Like you said, you think my content deserves 2 million followers. And I beat myself up from time to time. I used to do it a whole lot more. but you know, you just, when you're doing what you love, you just got to keep going, and we're not going to give up. That's the bottom line. You know, we're going to keep going out there and trying to inspire as many people as we can. And speaking of inspiring, who has inspired you the most along your journey?
Well, did you want to know who's inspiring me when I first started, or because I have a few people that I'm inspired by, but in the beginning of my journey, I was mainly inspired by Louise Hay and Abraham Hicks. Of course, they still inspire me. Unfortunately, Louise Hay is no longer with us in physical form. Abraham Hicks definitely is still one of my first go-tos. But Oprah Winfrey, I aspire to be like Oprah. I love the way she carries herself and the way she transfers the message that she feels the crowd needs to hear. And just everything about her, you know, her foundations and her purpose, and how she's very intentional about everything that she does. So I aspire to be someone like Oprah. So.
Hey, keep going. You got it in you to do whatever you set your mind to. What do you do outside of fill your purpose?
Honestly, my whole life consumes of fitness. Fill your purpose. Of course, I also still do real estate as well. But during the pandemic, my transition is more focused on doing self-development. My goal with Fill Your Purpose is to turn it into a self-development app, Mind, Body, and Spirit, which is the main reason why I started the platform and the YouTube channel, to bring in the right audience, so that when the time comes to launch the app, I have the perfect, people that are interested in something like that. So right now, that's my goal. My goal is to bring this vision into full effect.
Hey, you're doing it. So tell me a little bit about what purpose means to you, and what do you, what does purpose mean to you?
To me, purpose, which is so funny because a lot of people ask me what purpose is. It has a lot of different meanings, but to me personally, purpose is something that makes me smile. Like when I edit my videos, I'm smiling the whole time. I'm like, I catch myself. I'm like, why am I smiling editing videos? Because
We're gonna start to pay you to edit our videos here at KirBeBetter, because we're not smiling when we're editing our videos.
I love it. I love it. I just love the creating. And when I meet people, it makes me so happy, because although I'm grateful for my journey and where I come from, when I hear other people's experiences and traumas and how they turned it into their purpose, I'm like, oh my God, we're all doing the same thing, just in different ways. So for me, purpose is doing something that I absolutely love for free, and I just happen to get paid for it. You know what I
Hey,
mean?
that's the same exact definition that I have for purpose as well. I believe that it's just all about finding out what separates you from everybody else on this planet, because we all have greatness inside of us, and your greatness lies within identifying your highest values. And when you are living by your highest values, you're smiling, you're inspired, you don't quit, you overcome more challenges, you keep going, you do what you love what you do, you never have to work a day in your life.
And you're just feeling, sometimes I forget, like you said, we're just doing this for the passion. It's not like we're waking up with a $20,000 check in the account, but that's what it feels like. When I wake up in the morning, it feels like I have this big chunk of money in my account for what I'm doing, and I don't. And that's how I know that it's my purpose. Something that makes me happy in the morning, just to do it, So
Well,
that's purpose to me.
that's amazing. And I've really enjoyed this interview. I'm going to ask you these last few final questions here. I don't think we could end it on a better note than asking you about your purpose there. And, I think we both definitely are very aligned with our thought process and our mindsets. And I think that, let's continue to do great things in this world together. And, I know we're not where we want to be yet, but we're right where we're supposed to be. So we got to keep going. And tomorrow is Thanksgiving. We'll be releasing this probably here in the next couple weeks, but it's Thanksgiving. We're interviewing this in the pandemic right now, in Thanksgiving. I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving with your family. But hey, you're into fitness. I'm into fitness. And I know that a lot of fitness people are all about those cheat meals, because we work so hard in the gym, but we got to enjoy ourselves from time to time too. So what would you say your favorite cheat meal is? And don't worry, we won't tell anybody.
Okay, well, this is the funny thing. Everybody will know the answer to that question, because I love In-N-Out. Like, I should be a spokesperson for In-N-Out. I'm telling you right now, because I always said, even if I ever get married, I'm having In-N-Out trucks at my wedding. Like, it didn't happen like in real life. So In-N-Out is definitely a double single, cheese fries, and a big Coke. That's my cheat meal.
I didn't hear that. Don't worry, I didn't hear that, and we're not going to tell anybody. All the KirBeBetter people out there, we didn't hear that. Hey, but no, hey, you know what? I've been to LA before, and I've had them. You didn't mention the animal style though. Don't you got to get them animal style?
No, I do like the animal style, but only sometimes on my fries. I know other people don't really like raw onions. I love raw onions, so it doesn't really bother me to get it grilled. But from
Gotcha.
time to time, I will have a taste for, animal style fries, which I think are absolutely amazing.
So last two questions, and this one I think can definitely help inspire a lot of people. What would you tell the girls out there that are going through a similar struggle that you went through with what happened in your past, which we talked about earlier in the interview? What would you tell the girls out there right now? What would be your words of inspiration to them?
I would tell them to stop, take 3 deep breaths, tell yourself you love yourself, you are worthy, you are on the right track. There's nothing to finish, there's no finish line. Life is an ongoing journey. No matter how much you learn, always take a deep breath and just find your purpose. Find your big why. Find what drives you, what makes you happy. It could be something corny like making necklaces or whatever that is for you. Find your purpose and the meaning of waking up every day and just feeling like, okay, I could do this, and just take it step by step. It's like when you're standing at the bottom of the staircase, when you look up, it feels so overwhelming. So when you're feeling depressed, when you're feeling down, when you're feeling like a victim, looking at yourself as a victorious person might feel a little overwhelming. But if you just take the next step, the next logical step, whether it's reading a book that might make you feel a little better, or listening to audio that might make you feel a little bit better. Whatever that little baby step is, if you continue to take those baby steps, next thing you know, when you're standing at the top of the staircase, you look down and you're like, wow, I did all that and it didn't even feel like work. And then now you're just this, I want to say a new version of yourself, because you're always amazing how you are and you're perfect as you are, as you say, which is something that I love when you say. It's just, you're a better version every single day. And that's our goal. That's why we're here, to be a better version of ourselves. It's not like there's something wrong with us and we're trying to fix it. It's just being better. And that's it. That would be the best advice I would give them.
Hey, you crushed that. Man, you're sending chills through my body with that one. I even had to take a deep breath and get in the moment with you there, but that's exactly what I'm talking about as well. And I'm trying to tell everybody out there as well. I'm trying to make the world a better place, one person at a time. But to get there, you got to take one step at a time. And when you get to the top of those stairs, like you talked about, you look down. And just like that butterfly that's sitting right behind you right now, butterflies, I just recently learned from another friend of mine, they symbolize evolution. They symbolize transformation. They transform butterflies. And you look down and you say, wow, look how much I've transformed. That's how much I've transformed in 3 years since I started KirBeBetter. More than I can put into words. I've quadrupled, 1,000 times X'd my life in 3 years. And yeah, I still got 2 followers on Instagram, but guess what? I'm still here and I'm still going, and you're going to keep going as well. And that's what it's all about. And when you get to the top, then you got to keep looking up, because like you said, we can keep climbing. Human potential is limitless. And my final question is, and I think you might have just answered it right there, but we ask all the inspiring people we have on the See You at the Top podcast, we ask them, what would you say your one piece of advice is for getting to the top?
I think you should read as many books, listen to as many audios, find people that you feel relate to your story. So for me, I feel that Louise Hay relates to my story. With her, although she had a child and had to unfortunately put her up for adoption, but everything else in her life, I feel so, when I listen to her story, it just reminds me, okay, if she could do it and our story is so similar, I can do it too. So find someone that is the outcome of who you want to become and just continue to use that as inspiration and educate yourself. You like YouTube is so easy. You could literally Google anything on YouTube, or I'm sorry, search anything on YouTube, and you can learn anything. Just
Right.
take the first step, and once you get into it, it's like going to the gym. You can't expect yourself to go in the gym and work out for 2 hours, but you can do 10 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day, a little stretching here and there, and work yourself into a whole hour workout. It's the same thing with self-development. You can't expect yourself to read a book every week. Sometimes people want to shoot for these amazing high goals, which I think some people could do it, but I feel that if you do take the baby steps and you build the foundation, you're more inspired to continue rather than going really, really hard and then just falling off.
And giving up like a lot of people. And, I think that that's beautiful as well. So pretty much what you're saying is to just really find somebody that you're very inspired by and start to kind of emulate what they're doing, learn from them, and realize that you have that in yourself as well. And that, that's exactly what I did with Dr. DeMartini and what you've done with, the people you mentioned earlier as well. And I think that's a great a great pointer, is just, emulate somebody that you really don't look up to them because, hey, you got it inside yourself as well, but find somebody you're most inspired by and try to emulate what they're doing. You don't have to reinvent the wheel of success. They got there by doing a certain set of things, and just start to emulate and learn and grow from them. And eventually you might be looking eye to eye with them in whatever you are putting them on that pedestal for. And I think, the final thing I want to say is it's sitting right behind you. The number one key, I believe, for getting to the top is you have to align with your purpose, because we all have a different purpose. And when you start to tap into it and go within, no limits.
Yes. And one last thing I would like to add to that
Sure.
is, in order to find your purpose, which I think is so important, you have to accept your power. You have to accept that you're this unlimited human being. Like, you have to really sit there and say, I accept all good that comes to me. I accept my powers, my abilities, my intuitiveness. I know I'm worthy of all good things that come to me. And so once you accept and love yourself, that's when your purpose kind of like scratches the surface and you're like, oh,
Yes.
I know what I want to do now, but accepting your powers and loving yourself are like the foundation of starting that journey. So please love yourselves. And I always tell my friends, when I say goodbye, I always hug them and I tell them, be good to yourself. Be good to yourself. Treat yourself like you want your best friend to treat you. Sometimes we talk so down to ourselves in our mind. And I tell people, if you had a friend who spoke to you the way we talk to ourselves in our internal head, we wouldn't be friends with that person. We would say, you're
Yes.
so rude to me. You're so mean to me. You're always putting me down. But in a subconscious way, we do that to ourselves from time to time. So let's just sit back, not judge ourselves or shame ourselves or say, why am I not doing better than the next person? Let's just accept our own powers, love ourselves, and just find our purpose and live life.
Amen to that. And realize that we're perfect. God created us perfectly, and let's go out there and make the most of our lives. But hey, it was an awesome interview. I think you absolutely crushed it. And I actually, learned some stuff from you today as well. You're very inspiring, and I think you're on the right track. You're definitely tapping into your purpose. And I think, I wish nothing but the best for it. And I think you're going to go out there and help a lot of other, in particular, women fill their purpose so that they can become the best version of themselves and get the most out of life, because life is beautiful and life is very sweet. But the last thing is, tell people where they can find you,
Well, this is something that I was going to ask you if it's okay for you to tag me, since my name's a little hard to spell.
Sure, absolutely.
But my personal is at Nicole Arjomand, and you can also find me at Feel Your Purpose to follow Feel Your Purpose. And we also recently created a platform for women who need support in business or self-development called Namaste, which is also on my personal Instagram. So at Namaste Inc. You can also find us there for any women who feel that they need, it's like a support system group for business, self-development. If you need help with your resume or looking for a job, anything and everything that you need, reach out to us. It's a combination of 5 of us. We're all into self-development, different aspects of it, life coaching, happiness, and, marketing. So we're all given our skills. We're presenting our gifts to other women who can benefit from them. So Follow us on social media, and can't wait to hear from you all.
Well, that's beautiful. And we're definitely going to tag you. And, I have to end every one of these episodes. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for coming on. And we're signing off. Definitely follow her, everybody. She's a very inspiring person, just getting started. I see her on a TEDx stage speaking to thousands of women around the world, empowering them to help them fill their purpose. We'll see you guys very soon, and I'll see you at the top.
See you at the top.
See you at the top. That's where I go.